Men are not going to this event.
Went to a singles mixer. Only women showed up.
There's one thing I have to say about this, and it's I guess a lot of women, and here's the thing. Dating is not easy for anyone. It's not easy for women. It's not easy for men. But I think a lot of women underestimate how much effort guys have to put in the beginning of starting a relationship or even conversating with a woman. And to a lot of guys, going to a singles event just seems like work. I know myself, I personally would not go to a singles event because I feel like it's just like going to one long job interview. And then going through it repeatedly. And just, I don't know, to me it's like, dating should have some sort of fun. It should be. My thing is this: if I'm going to do dating formally, then I'm going to do all the way formal. Opposed to like, we do these singles events. It's just a lot of like, I don't know, man. To me, it's just a lot of confused people on one spot.
Ooh, that's good. I like it. Yeah, I agree. It does seem like more work for the man than it does for the woman, which is dating in general. I mean, it's still, even though we're 2024, everyone's equal and all that good stuff, it's still, the onus is on the man to initiate and to not just initiate, but to be the one to lead the progression of the relationship, as much as people might want to say it's not that way. And I'll say this too, specifically about the event. This is called fatigue, all right? Men are fatigued. And they're fatigued with the dating pool. Now let me tell you this. It's like women are fatigued as well. And I think that what's going on is each gender or sex, right, are missing each other. Men, I personally think, are not leveling up enough overall. And I know I'm gonna get flack for that in the comments. I get it. Overall, I don't think men are leveling up enough. But I will say this too, ladies. A lot of y'all, not all of y'all, some of y'all say expectations are a little bit warped. And so you have warped expectations meets not quite meeting the mark, and it's like night and day. Ships crossing each other in the middle of the night. So you expect a man to come to one of these events and do what? Like, I don't know. It just seems a little bit.
I mean, to me, it just doesn't make any sense,
right?
So
it's not going to work.
If you're going to one of these events and you're thinking, well, I'm going to find the most qualified, the most perfect guy, the most qualified, most perfect guy is going to be not there. Like, he's the most qualified, perfect guy. He's going to be somewhere else. Why would he be there? What, like, he's going to have options. Listen, if you're like, well, I want a guy who makes a lot of money. He wants a family. He's going to be faithful. There's a lot of people who want, the people are lining up the door for it. And listen, it's the same thing for a good woman, right? It's the same thing for a good woman. You have a woman who's attractive. She's a nice woman. She's a good person. She has a good head on her shoulders. She's not going to be at all these events.
I was going to say, and I didn't want to go there either because, again, I don't want to catch a smoke from y'all or whatever, but.
That's not saying that the women who go there are terrible. I'm just saying that, like, if you both are trying to find a diamond in the rust, you're not going to find a diamond in the rust over there. Because they're going to be in high demand because everybody's looking for that person. Everybody's looking for the best male. Every woman's looking for the best male. Every man's looking for the best woman.
If you're going to go to an event like this, temper your expectations. That's what I'll say. Because, especially if you're a woman. And I only say that because, ladies, you're doing your thing. I don't want to, I know you, ladies, you're doing your thing, right? As far as like, I know you're not. As far as like, a lot of metrics that we use to measure success in the U.S. Education and the type of jobs you work or careers or whatever, you're really doing well. I see. But to go to the event like that, to find a man, I think you have to temper your expectations. Actually, I'm not.
Well, I mean, the thing is, men just aren't going to those events. So even if they temper their expectations, the 4 or 5 guys that show up, like, okay, I mean, y'all, if you're tempering your expectations, you're all gonna be dating the same 5 guys, which happens in reality anyway. But that's another reason, right? So I read. Let me actually go through some of these comments that I've seen people make about this. Okay, so let me just read off some of these comments that I've seen from TikTok.
Oh, that's a great source.
I mean,
I know. For this,
okay. Sense. So one of the comments says, "There's no upside for men. There's no interest in the hassle. I just want peace." One guy said, "I wanted to do something that I'd like more, so I'd schedule a root canal." Another guy says, "Dating isn't worth it anymore. It would also ruin fishing for most guys." Someone responded to him, this right here. A guy said, "We don't want to lose half our stuff." I don't blame you on that. "Men fish to get away from their relationships and responsibilities, not to engage in more of them." Dang, okay. "We don't want to feel worthless to go and be rejected again. Not a good feeling when it would be multiple women simultaneously. Not good for the egos." One dude said, "Passport bros." One guy said, "No, we fishing for the peace and quiet. Duh." One person said, "Did you pull guys about it before scheduling it? I love to fish and do so with my friends, but one of the things I like best is a quiet solitude. I found ladies at singles events tend to stand or sit in a group. If a man is interested, he has to approach the whole group and risk it." Okay. From the consensus, it seems that most men would never want to go. But that last comment, he made a great point. So if you go to a singles event and you're a woman and you stand in a group full of other women, and then you expect a guy who's probably by himself going to a singles event to walk up and introduce himself to the entire group, it's probably not going to happen. Because a lot of guys, just in case some of you women aren't aware, go through something that's called like approach anxiety. Like a lot of guys don't feel nervous approaching women. So if you're sitting in a group, that's less likely that guy's going to approach you, period. So if you're doing that, that's just dumb. If I'm just being completely honest. Like if you go to a singles event, I've never been to one, but I would assume that I thought it was like, okay, everyone gets a name tag, and then like, I don't know, it's just like people just kind of like intermingled, and then like I guess it's kind of like speed dating, right? They like walk up to each other or something. I don't know.
I've been to a speed dating event before, and they had us at a long table, and you just change seats every so often.
Okay, so it's like there's like a timer that runs, and then you kind of
but so that's a very structured one. There's also ones you just go to a mixer.
Okay.
You just talk. I haven't been to the one like that before. But.
So I guess
Hold on. They kept talking about fishing. What's that? What's up with the fishing thing?
I guess it's just kind of like women, like people like go fishing. Like there's more fish in the sea. I don't know.
I thought they were literally talking about fishing. But go ahead.
No, that's what I assume they're talking about.
Okay. So a couple of the comments. One guy said, "Ladies, did you poll men before you decided to do this?" And another guy said, "You go there with your friends, you stand in the group." So it made me think to myself, maybe one of the issues is that some of these women aren't taking the time to think about what a man really is looking for or what they want.
So they're just not making effort. Is what you're trying to say.
Effort to what?
So it's
to understand a man?
No, not to understand a man, but just to put yourself out there. So if you go to the singles event, okay, that's one step, right? The second step would be being open to accepting being approached, to being like.
No, you're right, but that's not what I was trying to say. But
okay.
Yeah, I agree. What you're saying is right, but that's not what I was trying to get at.
Because I wouldn't go to a singles event and then just like stay in a corner with my drink like you know.
So the thing I'm trying to say is, it seems as though women in this context are not putting themselves in a man's shoes. Okay, maybe they're nervous and that's why they're with all their friends in a group.
Yeah,
that's fine. But understand, put yourself in a man's shoes. They're not gonna be that confident to come and talk to you. Most of them, anyways. So you have to understand that and put yourself, going to your point, out there a little bit more. Stand by yourself. You might look and feel a little awkward, but do it so that you can at least be approached. Or send some kind of signal. That's the thing too. Like sometimes it seems as though they want you to read their mind. And I'm not going on just women. I'm saying men too, because it's like I'm going back to the point we're missing each other. Because women are like, you might see a woman and she might give you a certain look, and you're okay. Maybe she's interested, but that's it. We might, and in today's age,
you gotta give more reassurance.
You need more reassurance than just a look. Because you can get fried on TikTok the next, you know what I'm saying?
That's the other thing. Because in a world where creep is flown around so easily,
right?
Like even on the balloon pop, there's literally like on the last episode of the balloon pop, this girl rejects a guy because he was staring at her too much. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Was he a creep though? Was he like bug-eyed at her or something?
I don't know.
Either way, it's too much.
I don't know. Like, you're literally going on a dating show
it's
where
too much.
you guys are looking at each other.
Exactly. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I don't know. The way that I see it is that, like, okay, like, men are interested in one thing, women are interested in another thing.
What are you talking about?
Meet each other halfway. Just meet each other halfway.
Well, what are you talking about?
I'm just talking about, it just seems that men and women today are just on completely different pages. Like, even like if you look at the statistics, I know it said that younger men are more conservative and younger women are more liberal. So it's like people are on two different sides. I mean, listen, is that the main group that's in these singles event? No, these singles events tend to range a little bit older, like 30 plus.
You know, the interesting thing about that stat you just brought up is that historically speaking, younger people in general tend to lean more liberal.
Yeah.
But now younger men are trending towards more conservative.
Yeah.
Which should tell you something.
We're in two different directions.
Yeah, it's interesting times, man. It really is.
I don't know. Listen, I think if you're a woman, and let's say, like, I'm gonna guess if you're going to singles events, it's probably like the 30 plus, or maybe you're 27 plus, and you're trying to go to singles event. You're trying to find someone who's interested in you. I would not go to a singles event. Just being completely honest, I don't think that's the best place where you're gonna find a guy. I think the best place to find a guy is just through other good men that you know. Maybe you're in a. I'm trying to think. I know they have like running clubs, right? And like this apparently became a big thing where it's like if you're in the running club and you wear black, then you know that means you're single and they're with a whole bunch of other people who are running. So it's like people with similar interest.
Yeah.
So that might be a good way. You know, just really having a genuine connection beside, and just that whole interview style just doesn't work. Where you're sitting there, you're interviewing someone. What do you do? How much money do you make? Like all this kind of just, cause.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What if you had to say one word or one statement? That's it. No, nothing else. What would you say is the number one issue that's causing people to have trouble dating in the modern in our generation and younger?
What do I think? Just one word?
Just one word or one sentence. I'll give you a sentence.
Unrealistic.
Okay, I like it.
Unrealistic.
Before you go on, I'm gonna say. Actually, no. You can go ahead and.
I'm gonna say unrealistic, and that's for men and women.
Yes.
I think men and women both have very unrealistic standards.
Yes.
And it goes towards the men too, because I think you know what's funny? I think both sides want it traditional, but not traditional on their side. I think men want a traditional woman, but some men they want to do 50-50. They don't want to be provider, which either way works. It's just that you try to do this weird like hibernation, and it just never works out. It's like you have to do one or the other.
Hybrid.
Yeah, the hybrid just never ends up working. I think it's the same thing with women. I think a lot of women want men to be traditional, but they want to be independent too. They don't want to do 50-50, but then they want to have they want to be independent women at the same time, and it just never ends up working. So it's like, but you still want to have them date like it just the hybrid just never ends up working, and I think that's what the problem is both parties want a bad deal. They want to get what they want to get, but don't want to give the other person what they want.
Yes. And
then people are just like oblivious and act like they're giving the other person. Like, I don't believe in making bad deals because the other person ends up not being motivated to give me what I want. So what's the point of me making a bad deal? I just don't believe in it. Not only that, but then it hurts your reputation because then you get known as a person who makes bad deals. No one wants to make any more deals with you. No one wants to date you anymore. No one wants to be around you anymore because they know that you're the type of person that screws people over. So I just think both sides need to get to a point where they want to make a fair deal.
Okay. Now, before you keep going on, because I want to put this in there. I think my word ties into your word.
Okay.
And my word is actually two words. It's illusion of choice.
Cheater.
Okay.
Continue.
It has to be two words. Illusion of choice, or false illusion of choice, or whatever you want to put it. People think they have more options than they actually do. And because they think they have more quality options than they actually do, or maybe they do have a lot of options that they could possibly get, but the effort and time it would take to actually secure them and stay with it is just a lot. So what they do is they set their expectations unrealistically high, to your point, because they're like, oh, well, I had this person. They're cool. They're nice. They check off box A through C, but not D through F or E or G or whatever. So let me keep on looking. When really they should probably figure out a way to make it work with this person.
Yeah.
So it's the illusion of choice, dating apps, funky singles mingles that make people think they have more options. So they're unrealistic about needing to choose somebody and settling down. Not just anybody, obviously.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, let's be honest, even me, I'll be honest about it. I've had a woman in my life that had been good options for me, long term.
Yeah.
But I decided to go back out in the streets. So it's like, why? I shouldn't say the streets. That sounds crazy. I decided to go back into, not the streets.
In the streets.
Back into, that's not me as you can probably tell, but back into like just singlehood. When really maybe I should have been like, let me see what I can do to make this work.
Yeah.
So, but that's just kind of the world we're in. Like I said, technology, right?
Yeah.
And a whole bunch
Yeah,
of
I mean, everyone thinks there's always a better option.
Always.
And then dating apps is like that on steroids. Makes it worse.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse. Dating apps, the club, all these terrible places that people still try to find love at. I don't know why.
The lack of involvement of your community and your relationship.
Listen,
that's a big one too.
Yeah, listen, this is what I think.
Are you gonna elaborate on that? Because if not, I want to say another point.
I'm gonna elaborate.
Oh, go ahead.
I think a lot of women miss a really good screening opportunity by having men go through their fathers and their brothers. Mm-hmm. That would cut off like so much BS.
Yeah.
That's why you see like a lot of people, they do this like arranged dating. And I know some people aren't a fan of like arranged marriages and stuff like that, but that cuts a lot of the BS off because you got answer to their dad, you got answer to their granddad, you got answer to their brother. They know where you live. Their family, you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's something to gain, there's something to lose, and you really can't just run off and do whatever you want.
Facts.
And I think now that it's just like people are just kind of doing whatever. They're not getting people involved for whatever reason. And I think it just ends up being a mess. And then people end up getting screwed over. And it's just a mess.
And you know what else, too? I'll add to that, too, is that, listen, this goes for men and women. It's the stereotype is easier to see with women because it's a more clearly defined stereotype of the woman, the young girl who's into the bad boy. And they chase the bad boy and they get caught up with the bad boy. And then they forego the good guy who they should be with. That's a stereotype. Same thing for men. Men, you know, will go out there and chase and think or whatever. You know, I'm not as clear as on the stereotype as it is for men, but those issues are also quelled by having your community or your father, your brother, your mother, your whoever involved in your decision making. You might not like it in the beginning, but over time you might realize it's probably the best option.
Yeah, I mean it's awkward. Let's be honest, it's awkward.
It's only awkward nowadays. We've made it awkward in our culture, our generation. Like, it's not awkward from where, like, I always say this on camera, so I'm broken record at this point. But my parents, obviously, are you don't know, they're from Nigeria. And it's not as awkward for a father, like, for a woman back where my parents are from, they have to go through their father pretty much before they even get with the man. Nowadays, are they sneaking around nowadays? Some are. But in order to marry a dude, no, you're not marrying a dude without the family approving. It's not going to happen. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and listen, I respect it.
Yeah,
I like it. Would I trust someone that my dad picked out? Probably not. Just be honest, probably not. But everybody's parents are different. On the plus side, she's probably be really hot. It just some other things might not be there. Nonetheless. I'm going to say, ultimately, ladies, I think if you're going to singles events and you're expecting just a whole bunch of great dudes and options to show up, I think you're making a bad decision. I think the best decision is just to keep it simple, approach dating with a positive attitude, go places, have a positive face, have a smile, make some sort of effort. I'm not one of those people that are saying women need to approach men. I get it. That's something that most men are supposed to do. I'm not against it, but just make yourself approachable.
Yeah.
Have a nice face, good attitude. Even if it's someone you don't like, make yourself approachable. Because here's the thing. You might not like the guy who's approaching you, but you don't know if the guy that you want to approach you is watching you reject someone else. Because sometimes, for a lot of, especially this day and age, Gen Z, a lot of guys, all they got to do is see you shoot down a guy really bad and be like, I'm never going over there.
Yeah, plus that says something about your character. Like how they say, watch how a man or a woman treats the waiter or the server.
Yeah.
that's kind of similar to that. Just because you're not attracted to the person approaching you doesn't mean you have to treat them like a second-class citizen.
Sure.
And just so we can keep things equal, I'm going to go ahead and give some smoke to the guys too. Like I said before, guys, don't be crusty and don't be dusty. Don't be crusty and dusty and broke and expect yourself to pull a baddie. I mean a baddie, not just physically, but inside too. A woman that you think will be long-term material, because that's what a lot of these women are tired of too. They're tired of these dudes aren't living up to at least the basic level. I'm not saying you gotta drive around in a Ferrari and own a mansion, but like have something to show. Because as much as we like to pretend like we're all evolved and we're past this biological need for things, we're not. So I'm sure they're gonna want some level.
Well, you shouldn't be dating broke at all.
I don't think so either.
That to me is you're really playing yourself.
You are playing yourself. So I'm just saying. So yeah, dudes, don't be dusty. Like that's what it is.
So you're gonna say ultimately, what good decision, bad decision, go to singles events?
I'm gonna say it's a bad decision. Yeah, I'm gonna say
You're thinking about it a lot.
No.
Thinking. We see it.
Nah, it could work if it was done correctly, but in the way it's been done, it's probably a bad decision.
All right, guys. So if you think going to a singles event is a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. If you think it is a bad decision, leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, don't go to singles events if you don't want to.